Okay, this video we will now start looking at the different type of lymphocytes. We're going to look at T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes, or at least the introduction to those. And we're going to talk about very briefly where they originate from, where they're born, where they go to mature, what are the various subtypes of lymphocytes on each one. And in subsequent videos, we're going to go into much more detail on the function of a T lymphocyte and a B lymphocyte. So with that being said, let's go to this portion here. Oh, there we go. Let's go to this one. And when you're looking at B and T cells, B and T lymphocytes, okay? So if I say cell versus lymphocyte, same thing. Your immune system, again, we're breaking it down into your innate, like your skin, those sort of things, as well as acquired. Some people will say adaptive, some people will say specific, okay? Here we're just going to use acquired. There are two subcategories of acquired immunity. There's cell-mediated immunity and there's humoral mediated immunity. So there's cell-mediated and that's humoral. Now, which cell type is associated with each? Cell-mediated are going to be T lymphocytes, and humoral is going to be B lymphocytes. Easiest way that I've remembered this, trying to remember which one is which type of cell. Humoral immunity, this is going to sound stupid. Humoral immunity sounds like humor. If I look at the B here, when was the last time you had a really good belly laugh? Okay, so humoral or humor, B for belly laugh. Hey, if it works, go with it. This is my weirdness coming out, okay? So cell-mediated, T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes are going to be the humoral. Now, where each one of these originate from, or where they're born, where do they come from? They're coming from the bone marrow. And that's on both. Okay? At this point, they're not ready to do anything. They can't fight off anything. So once they're born, at this point, they pick a receptor. So something that goes on the plasma membrane that helps them identify or pick or identify a specific antigen, okay? There can be countless number of receptors for these, because just think of everything in our environment that is not you, that your body needs to be aware of. So all the different cold viruses, those are pollens. What are all the different plant pollens out there? All of these are antigens that your receptors will choose. That's a long process. It's called gene shuffling. Don't worry about it, just as an introduction on this one. But they pick a receptor, and on this one, for the T cell, it's basically T cell receptor, or TCR. The B lymphocytes, BCR. Okay? So for B cell receptor. This one actually is going to end up being an antibody. Okay, we'll get into the B cells in a different video on this one. At this point, they leave the bone marrow and they have to go and mature. Now, we've talked about this in previous classes. So the maturing site, or where they get educated, let me close that off, we don't need that. Where they get educated for the B cells, that's going to be bone marrow as well. And for the T cells, that's going to be the thymus. M-U-S. Okay, so that's where those are going to mature or go to school. This is where they're being educated on how to identify a specific antigen through this process. Once they go through this school, then they are going to end up transitioning into various cell types. Okay, again, right now, this is just a general overview. Other videos, we're going to go into specifics as to when the T cell or B cell actually differentiates into these following T sites. So just know that the T cells or the T lymphocytes ultimately will end up being a number of different cells. B cells will end up being a couple different cells as well. So the T cells, the cell types, let me just put this here. So the T cell and B cell, again, at this point, they can't do anything. It's only after they're activated do they end up doing anything. But the T cell ends up differentiating or changing into one of 4 different types of cell types. So we've got cytotoxic, also known as killer T cell, okay? We're going to have a helper T cell, and we're going to go through all these. We are going to have a memory T, and then we're going to have a regulatory. We're not going to spend much time on the regulatory. This one actually suppresses your immune system. We'll go into these other ones on the next video. B cells will go down to 2 different cell types. One is going to be memory. So a memory B. The other one is going to go to a plasma cell. And then these will make antibodies. Okay. So both the B and T cells, these are the big boys, okay? When they come onto the field to play, all right, they come out there very serious. And when they get on the field, one goal is in mind: identify the enemy and destroy them, okay? So they're out to kick some royal butt for the most part. The antibodies with the plasma cells, those are the biggest of your big dogs, so to speak, okay? Also, just as a note, plasma cell does not make plasma, okay? Plasma cells make antibody. Plasma, as in the liquid in your blood, is something different. The only thing that they have in common is the word plasma, okay? So with this being said, go through this, make sure you understand where they originate from, the different types of cells associated with them, and then when we get into the next process as to how a T cell works and how a B cell works, we will go through that, and some of these names will come back on those videos. So stay tuned and we'll go with that one.